Buenas tardes. Y hablo español un poquito. Un poquito. Y hablo inglés. So, I would like to talk to you today about 3G, and my perspective is coming from not only the company that I'm running today, which is Fast Mobile, but also the work I do with the GSM Association. The GSM Association is the global association of wireless operators that work together to promote wireless technology around the world. And what I would like to talk to you today is innovation and some of the trends that are going to impact you in the area of 3G. So let's talk about innovation in three main areas. 3G for the mass market, mobile as now the fourth screen, and then advances in 3G with the advent of HSPA. And I'm not going to be technical. I think we need a brand consultant to help us because we have things like HSPA or high-speed packet access. Who cares? Really all it means is faster. So innovation via enablers, not innovation by technology. So the new era of mobile. Innovation in wireless has allowed new technology to circle the globe. If you remember back in the early 90s, GSM technology was thought to be a pan-European system. It was never going to conquer the world. But it started out and it innovated. It started in the industrialized world, and it's now being exported to emerging markets, emerging countries, and people who have never had the opportunity to talk on a landline phone are now being given the opportunity to make calls on wireless devices. And as we move into 3G, they'll be able to surf the internet via new wireless devices. And it's a significant shift. Significant shift for Europe and for Spain. So making UMTS better by making it faster is going to impact everyone, including you. So new business sectors that you're involved in, or new business sectors that you're studying about, or new business sectors that your children will dream up in the future will be impacted by 3G. And no longer will be content, things that work in wireless, be mobilized. What does that mean? It means that no longer will you take things and put them into packages to fit on your mobile screen, but they will be made for mobile. They'll be purposed for mobile. And that's a dramatic shift that's taking place today and is going to impact you and your businesses in the future. As mobile becomes the fourth screen, it opens up lots of new technologies and new opportunities. So let's look at the history. What's taken place since GSM and wireless took stage in 1991 with the first call? Well, that 15 years ago, we launched GSM in Europe. It spread around the world. And it took us 12 years to reach our first billion customers. Not bad. Especially when, as we heard earlier, McKinsey didn't think it was going to reach 100,000. The second billion took just a little over 3 years. Now, if we look at 3G, and I assume some of you have had some experience with 3G, more than likely didn't meet your expectations. But when 3G was launched 6 years ago, in a mere 3 more years, more people will be using 3G technology than just plain old GSM today. So what does it mean for you? It means you must consider the changes to the way you work, to the way you do business, to the way your children will think about the world. I have 5. They all have phones. They use the internet. They use the internet on their phone. It's going to impact you, your life, and your customers. So the GSM Association has been working to make GSM a better product with a lot of innovative programs, including the Emerging Market Handset Program, which was started in 2005 to reach the first billion. If we cycle back to 2005, the average handset cost was out of reach for developing countries. And we thought it was very important to drive manufacturers using the global economies of scale to allow these countries to move up economically, to allow their people to advance and have telecommunications at their fingertips. And then in 2006, we brought 3G to the PC market by building in high-tech access to the 3G markets that were being built around the world. And then the latest program in 2007 is to bring 3G to the masses by lowering the cost of handsets and making them more attractive to consumers. So as we look at that program today, the 3G for All initiative drives the development of consumer-friendly devices by using the gross economies of scale that we have globally. Operators from around the world, including Vodafone, who is represented here in Spain, participated in the evaluation of handsets. An Asian company called LG, which wasn't around in the handset business in 1992 when GSM was first launched, was declared the winner, with a company most of you probably know well, Nokia, coming in a very close second. But the real winner is you, the consumer, your customers, your children, who will see significant cost reductions in their 3G handsets not only today, but in the future. But why is it important? Well, one of the great barriers of entry is the upfront cost of that handset. And so if we can drive those costs 30 to 40% lower than you're seeing today, we drive innovation by driving mass take-up of the devices, more demands for goods and services over those devices, and that circle just keeps driving down the cost and driving innovation into 3G. The global purchasing power will take over, and the GSM Association will step back, and we will all benefit. Some call it priming the pump. Greater take-up, greater services, ultimately lower cost, and better use of the finite spectrum which we operate today. So now let's look at some other areas. Marriages that bridge various industries that have, to this point, not really been involved in wireless. How's it going to make your life different in 3G? Well, no longer will voice services dominate. They're still the killer app, but they won't dominate. No longer will simple text be enough. You'll have highly graphics media, very interactive, and rich graphics. The new fourth screen of wireless will attract new services that you're involved in, again, that you're studying about, areas of financial, advertising, and entertainment. And these will result in new products and services never before seen on mobile devices becoming ubiquitous around the world. And if we take one example, the example in the financial industry, you're fortunate to live in Spain where banking via mobile devices is actually a reality. I come from the developing world of the United States, where I think no one does banking over wireless. I just read a study that in 5 years, 35% of Americans will do banking over wireless technology. Bank Inter probably does that today. But we can do more. We can service the unbanked or the underbanked around the world. In much of the world, the banking industry does not have a way to service the millions, the billions of people who are not traditionally accessed by banking. The 12 million Filipinos who work outside the country and have to have a low-cost way to transport their wages back to the home country, to their friends and family. And mobile banking, as a trusted, secure, and real-time partner, can work in international remittances, something that we're not doing today. It then allows the banking industry and the mobile communities to have access to an unknown or an underserved population. Now, how can that be unknown? John, you just told me that we're serving now billions of people in developing countries. Very true. But they're using a prepaid access medium as opposed to a postpaid. So the operator doesn't have the names and the addresses and send them a bill They're paying up front and they're an unknown entity. By tying a banking relationship to that prepaid opportunity, the banking partnership along with the wireless partnership now has developed some form of entity of trust and consideration between the underbanked. So, the advantages of such a solution are real, but how do they impact you? Well, let's say you're in the market for a foreign good. You're not really in a trading commodity. You just need to purchase a few items. Not large quantities. You don't need RFID tags to necessarily track them around the world. But the thought of going to your bank, setting up letters of credit, dealing with a foreign bank, another foreign entity, to make that process able for you to complete a small transaction, mind-boggling. We can replace that with a very simple banking transaction, a trusted service relationship with your Vodafones of the world. And you can execute a one-off transaction, transfer that money wirelessly, and no longer have to deal with the hassles of going down to your bank and setting up letters of credit, dealing with foreign governments and entities. You complete that transaction over a new medium, 3G. Governments like it because there's accountability and traceability. No longer do we have these mom and pop shops that are wiring money from corner stores that also sells soda and bread. People like it because it's going to be easier, and more importantly, it's going to cost a lot less. So what else can we do in the financial area? Well, Spain is in the forefront with mobile banking. Bankinter and Innovation is leading the way. But we can do more. By partnering with banks, using 3G as a secure transaction medium, banks can rent space on SIM cards located within the phone, use new technologies to pay for goods, and bring new services that have never been thought of, now tied to 3G in the mobile industry. Most likely there'll be small transactions, pico or microtransactions. But as this marriage grows, maybe someday we'll be sitting here talking about that paper money that we all used to use, or credit cards that used to carry around and would sometimes lose. You never lose your mobile phone. So if we can marry these banking transactions to 3G technologies in a way that's cost-effective, allows us to carry new goods and services in a way never before thought of, the opportunities are endless. And one of the ways that we're going to do it is with a whole new technology that uses a very thin client, a thin client put on your phone as an application backed up by servers. You don't have to know about them, but they work on your behalf. They utilize the wireless airways of around the world, and we can do many, many transactions and services that here to date have only been a dream. So let's now move into advertising. Another opportunity for the fourth screen and innovation is the area of advertising. Advertising has been slow to move into mobile. But with the advent of 3G technology, the ability to transmit high graphics, detailed pictures, the ability to determine location tied to the device, advertising via mobile devices will become a reality. As we heard earlier, companies such as Microsoft are buying online advertisers. Well, we're only one step away from online being mobile. And mobile advertising is going to be the wave of the future. It's a cross-industry approach. And various parties are coming together to make mobiles the fourth screen for advertisers. But what does it mean for you? Well, maybe you can lower your marketing costs by segmenting and targeting your customers most interested in the goods and services that you sell. So you can forget radio, forget print, forget television, and use 3G as the way to reach out and target your customers, get your advertising messages out, and increase your top line by lowering your costs. So what other activities do we have for the fourth screen? Well, entertainment. 3G is going to change the way we look at entertainment. Whether you like it or not, whether it's you or your kids, the mobile device is going to become the television of tomorrow. It's going to become the new big screen. The GSM industry has partnered with the film industry to create shorts that are made for mobile. They're not sitcoms that have been pared down to 2 to 3 or 5 minutes. They are short films, 3 to 5 minutes in length, made strictly and only for the mobile device. So, your commutes, time spent in boring sessions listening to some guy with a foreign accent, you could be watching a new movie. We're only beginning to see what the movie industry can do. And you have a great opportunity because 3GSM comes to Barcelona every February. And last February we launched the Sundance Festival and Made for Mobile via GSM. At 3GSM next spring we'll have a new Made for Mobile activity, and you'll see hundreds, if not thousands, of Made for Mobile screen devices showing the latest and greatest short films. But it's not just Hollywood. It's Bollywood that's getting into the act. India has already a significant mobile movie industry. 3G is going to make it better because 3G is just now coming to India. So we're showing technology over or we're showing movies over a technology that's not really made for purpose. 3G will change it. You'll have better graphics, you'll have better sound, and you'll have better functionality. Maybe you'll be a candidate for Bollywood shorts as opposed to the Sundance film festivals. If it's not you, then it's going to be your kids. 3G brings the fourth screen to reality, and it's going to change the way we live and work. It's going to impact you, and it's going to impact the Spanish economy. You need to know. I promised I wasn't going to talk much about technology, but I have to give you just a little bit of history and view into the future. So what makes the technology and the innovation, and who makes it all possible? Well, there's a bunch of people sitting somewhere in a desk that's saying, where are we and where are we going to go? How can we make wireless communication not a dead-end technology that's replaced in 2, 3, 5 years with something new, but a technology that evolves, repurposes itself, attracts others to the industry. 3G wasn't perfect when it was launched. It wasn't fast enough. It was overhyped. It was going to bring you the internet. Remember the internet on the small screen? Well, it's not going to do that, but if we repurpose what it does do and make it made for mobile, we have a greater chance of meeting your expectations in the future. The content, yes, it was a disappointment for some in the past, but you are going to make it the future and the opportunity for us in the coming days. Why? Because your demands of what you want to do with your mobile device is going to be heard. And so, although we heard earlier, which I'm not sure that I agree with, but innovation takes place in the small garages, at the universities. With you sitting here thinking, well, geez, my industry doesn't use the mobile device, but if I could find somebody who could write a program and I could do ... we're going to have continued innovation as long as we can bring you the technology infrastructure for you to surf on. And whether that technology is HSDPA or HSUPA, who cares? It doesn't matter, as long as it's there. And it means that you're going to do more than just talking on a mobile phone. All of the result of innovation in 3G that's well underway. So as you can see from this chart, when 3G was first introduced, it was really, really slow. It was fast for the time, but it's slow by today's standards. If you recall the early computers, the ones that you thought were great when you had 284 processors and then 384 processors, and then we moved to Pentium. And all the computer manufacturers sold their devices by how fast the Pentium computer was and how much better it was than their competitor because they had a faster clock. Well, no longer do you have to sit in front of your screen and wait for things to happen as you do a few short years ago on your computer. The same is going to be true with your mobile device running 3G. The technology was slow, but it's getting faster. And with continued improvements, your 3G device will be able to move data from your mobile phone in speeds that will make you do things and allow you to do things that you've never thought possible. So it doesn't matter to you how it works now, but without these changes, it won't work. So we work in the background to enable technology and allow innovation to take place. So there's a plan, a series of technology improvements. Just like when you put that 384 away in the attic or the basement, I think, Thomas, that you were talking about, and you moved into high-speed Pentiums, a similar transition will occur in 3G, and it's going to impact your life. Sort of think of it as the evolution from dial-up technology to broadband for your PC. That's how 3G is going to work. And now, so when? How are you going to do it? Well, if we look at the graph, these changes are going to happen. If you see the launch of 2G services and the initial launch of 3G services, they roughly took place about the same speed. But then the chart on the right, the line that goes up at a faster slope, these are the enhancements to 3G to make it faster. And it's taking place 3 times faster than the rollout of either 2G or 3G. So the forces are already at work. And you, your children, and your customers are going to take advantage of it. And as we heard, there's clusters of innovation. Well, the good news, the cluster of innovation for 3G is global. You already have high-speed packet access in parts of the world where, frankly, it was just a dream a few years ago. Also, fortunately, you live in Europe, which has traditionally been one of the innovating cultures of wireless technology. So you have it all around you. And Spain is able to take advantage because the operators that work in Spain are at the forefront of new technology, innovation, and enhancements in 3G. So some of the facts. Well, the enhancements are moving at warp speed. They're global. More suppliers than ever before are becoming involved in wireless technology. Speeds are increasing, but what does it mean for you? It means that we can all sit here and piggyback on people in China who are selling 7 million mobile devices a month. Or India, the fastest growing country in the world. And we can ride those global economies of scale because the Nokias, the LGs, the Siemens, the Alcatels of the world, and a bunch of companies that we've probably never heard of that are mom and pop shops in Asia are churning out 2G and 3G devices, 2G and 3G infrastructures that lower the cost for all of us here in Europe, here in Spain, and in other parts of the world. It's going to help us make 3G a reality much sooner. So what do people think? What are the thought leaders of the world saying? Well, they're saying that we're now really starting to deliver on our 3G promise. That 500 million people will be using 3G for mobile broadband services in less than 3 years. 500 million. Remember, it took us 12 years to get to the first billion using GSM voice technology. So maybe you're not a 3G user today. Maybe your kids aren't. But I assure you that in a few short years, plain old GSM will be as outdated as the 384 processor. And you won't even know it. You'll buy a new device, and it's built in. So for you to keep up with your competitors, keep up with your customers, and if you're like me, keep up with your kids, 3G is the only way to go. So in conclusion, 3G is here. It's real. It's launching faster than GSM did 12 years ago. It allows new marriages to take place that were never made possible before. The fourth screen is going to target new sectors, and the GSM Association is going to deliver enablers to allow these new sectors, you, to take advantage of mobile communications like never before. Financial, advertising, and entertainment are just three of the areas that we're concentrating on. Made for mobile will replace mobilized, and that's a critical differentiation. You'll start purposing content for mobile devices as opposed to altering content for mobile devices. And lastly, 3G technology is not a dead-end road that's going to be outdated and replaced by something new. Yes, it will have competitors, but if we get it right and we keep innovating, we'll keep those competitors at bay. It's not the greatest technology there is out there. There's others, maybe a little faster, but it doesn't have global ubiquity, and it doesn't have 3 billion users around the world taking advantage of it. So watch out. 3G will become a force in your business, your banking, your entertainment, and your personal life. 3G is an innovative business driven by people like you who have demanded more, will continue to demand more, and we will continue to innovate to meet your challenge. Thank you very much. Muchas gracias.